Torrens. Watching the South Australian Sports Show, of course, a couple of weeks ago. Woodville-West Torrens, way too good for Glenelg. Just a tidy 87-point win, if you don't mind, in a grand final. The master, Jade, Sheedy, the coach, joins us, along with the business, marketing, developing, everything else. Andy Hood's in as well. Thanks for your time, fellas. Appreciate it. Mate, we'll start with you first, Jade. I mean, the underdog tag, mate, you played it beautifully after winning last year, so you didn't even mention back-to-back, and you were the underdogs this year. What's your plan for next year?
Put me on the spot there, Phil. No, we were talking about it before. Obviously, just want to keep getting better. I think we've got a really good list at the moment, good age demographic, and yeah, we're just really keen. I think once you have success, you want to keep having it. So, yeah, that's the goal, but a lot of hard work to do before that.
It always seems easy when you have a big win. Everyone goes, oh, that was easy. And you know it's not. And people that are involved around the club, and we'll get to any minute about the volunteers and all that. Glenelg had an unbelievable season. Sometimes it gets lost by the margin that you defeated them by. So I think we have to acknowledge that Glenelg were a pretty damn good team that you were able to dismantle in the finals. And a lot of talk around the pressure that you were able to create in the grand final, certainly defensively. Was that a change from last year's defence?
Not so much a change from last year's defence. I think big finals are won on pressure, and I think you know, you play a certain way throughout the year, and I think you can't get away with that in finals. I think the pressure goes up, the crowds go up. You know, are you going to pull the trigger in the middle of the ground and try and hit a kick that you would normally hit in round 12 or 10? I don't think you try them things with the pressure. So for us, it was around a really 1v1 contested game of footy and picking a side that could do that and could play roles. And I guess we shut out a couple of Glenelg's key playmakers that we hadn't done during the year, so threw different looks at them, and yeah, it ended up working, which was nice.
And you said in your post-match press conference, it's mainly about the great people that you have at the club. How does that impact, the win? And do you reckon that's probably the main reason why you guys came out to play in that grand final?
Yeah, I think we've got a great culture, and you know, what does that look like? It's a funny word, culture, but I think it's just a way you behave, and I think no one does it better than our footy club, our volunteers, you know, Mike Winnan, who runs all our medical, our doctors, our physios. Everyone has been there for a long time, and they're not just there for a job, they're there to get better and to make the club better, and they're super invested in the footy club. So I think when you get all that together, and then a coaching staff that's really invested, and a playing group that have been around for a while, yeah, it's just a combination of everything coming together, and it means a lot for a lot of people.
Hey Andy, you know, some people see when you win it's pretty easy. Everything just sells now. People are knocking on your door, mate, going, let's put some more money in the club. And I know you know it's not that simple. Certainly easier when you win than when you lose. Has there been a swing when you go back to back? Can you tell the difference between, say, last year's win and this year's?
Yeah, it's a great question, Phil, because last year when we won, it was 9 years since we'd won one. So, and we'd still had probably a bit of that stigma of the pressure of getting there and not winning. We lost the first final against North Adelaide, of course. We weren't concerned internally, but your fans and your supporters probably were. So we won that flag, of course. And I think that put a full stop to a lot of that old history. And then this year, we won really two tight finals. And in the grand final, we started to see a lot of fans come back because I think they started to trust us. And I said to a lot of people, there just seems to be so many different people at this grand final that have really come out to support us. So that's a real positive for us. I think there was over 21,000 people at the grand final. So the year before, I think it was about 17,000. So, I mean, Glenelg were always going to get a good crowd. But business-wise, commercially and sponsorship, we've had a few really great phone calls. Back-to-back was, you know, historical for our club. We've never done it. So really positive, I guess, atmosphere and surroundings at the moment. And it doesn't hurt, I guess, to have that McGarry medal also this year. So it's been a great couple of years for sure.
And as a former athlete myself, sometimes you find that there is a bit of a divide between the administration and the players themselves. Do you find you have a good connection from the administration to the players at your club?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. Look, as Jade has said numerous times in his post-game press conference or his speech, like most clubs, our admin is really fantastic. Our volunteers are so important to us, and they're so invested. So we have that connection is vital, but it's also very prominent at our footy club. But I think the one thing that we all know is we know our role, and we know we don't cross over into that footy department, and they trust us, and we trust them. But yeah, I think the word connection is really the one that comes to mind, Britt, for sure.
Hey Jade, I want to ask you, last year you lost a lot of players and you replaced them, and often as coaches we go, can I get like for like or similar, with what we're losing? And it kind of looked like your recruits were better than what you lost. And no disrespect, because those guys that won you a grand final, did it seem like that after the event?
I won't say better, I might offend a few people, but
I think equally as good.
Yeah, I think that was good.
Different roles,
I mean, you go through it. It was Stangl for Rowe. Stangl fell out of the Crows late, and we were lucky. He was a junior of our footy club. We were lucky enough to get him. Jordan Foote leaves, and he's probably the best outside midfielder in the competition in terms of his running. And Riley Knight comes off a list, and he's a junior. And then Sam Lowson and Nick Hayes, who were two super players last year, and you pick up the Menzels, and Jacob Weir goes, and Luke Beacon is a junior of our footy club and had a tremendous year. So there were some really good comparisons, and I think, but as I've said before, we wanted to keep getting better, and I think all them it was important we did recruit, because I think the easiest thing as a footy club would have been to say, no, we've won one, let's develop our juniors, and we are all about developing our juniors, but you also need that fine blend of developing the juniors that are going to be good for you, and also getting some recruits in to try and stay relevant.
And did you find those recruits that you found from coming down from the AFL, how did you tap into their experience, and how did they help the other boys develop as players?
Well, I think it's a good question. I think that's how you grow as a footy club. I think you get good people in that know a lot about the game, and you listen. I think as a coach, you can't think you know everything. I think coaches that do that, especially in today's age, that'll be their greatest downfall. So you do need to listen. You do need to say, yep, thanks for your opinion, I'll take that on board, or I won't. And I think that's a great strength of our footy club is, we brought in the Menzels, Riley Knight, Tyson Stangl, all been at the elite level, and have all seen different coaches and really high quality coaches, AFL premiership coaches, and they all bring some great knowledge back to the footy club.
Yeah, I can see how you want to get better next year. So Scott Pendlebury, Eddie Betts, Patrick Dangerfield, mate, are they coming over the Eagles next year? Because I reckon you've got a pretty good group there at the moment. Will you lose Benny from this year's team?
Hopeful Luke Beacon will get drafted. He's had a really good year off half-back, played 16 games, I think it was, by the end, and started in the reserves, and then played some really good league footy. And Tyson Stangl has obviously gone to Geelong on a 2-year deal, so we'll lose him. And there might be a couple of retirements. We've got the best and fairest this Friday night, so we'll know more then. But I think Angus Poole might retire, and potentially Paddy Graffita and Jake Von Berdo. So good thing is we've got great juniors, and also the reserves made the prelim, and there's lots of players there that are ready to go.
Hey, we talk about extensions and contracts, mate. You just signed a nice little extension. Is that your role, Andy? Do you have to
I put in a good word for him. That's about it.
Obviously put in a really good one. So with 4 years to go, I don't mind getting a good word like that. I mean, it seems like an easy situation, and there were some rumours speculating last couple of weeks around Jade that a couple of the AFL clubs were definitely interested, which makes sense. So was it a quick moving one?
To be honest with you, Phil, that it sort of happened in the background, and then I sort of heard that it was going to happen. And from my perspective, I was really pleased to have Sheeds in the club for another 3 years. When you ask players what they think is Sheeds, and I think it's a common question, and the word that comes to mind is just the connection that he has and the relationship with players, which I think is vital, and it's doesn't always exist. So I was really pleased to know that he was going to be around for another 3 years in our footy club, without a doubt.
Hey, Sheeds, I want to talk to the players about you, mate, behind your back. The thing that resonates the most is they all say this about you, is that you're able to develop the older players and the younger players. How do you reckon you develop that ability?
I think it's just care, isn't it? Like, I think when you invest in something, I put my heart into it, and I love the footy club and all my players. And in saying that, we have a couple of posters on our wall, act your way in, act your way out. Like the players, I guess we set the guidelines, and some don't want to meet them, and we don't ever sack anyone at the footy club, but they just end up going by the wayside because they don't want to buy into what we want to buy into. But I think you know, as we get better and as we keep growing, more leaders then drive that, and it just becomes an easier sell for everyone. But you know, I think it's just investing in people, and the people that want to do the right thing, you'll do anything for them.
Hey, mate, well done, back to back, nothing to it. So 3 in a row shouldn't be too much to ask, I wouldn't have thought, Andy. So we'll see you back here about this time next year, holding the 3rd Premiership Cup. Well done by the Eagles, great job, fellas. Well done to your club and your volunteers. They have been amazing down there at the Eagles Footy Club. Stay with us, still a little bit more to come.